There was a large garden behind my home, known as the 100 Herbs Garden. It has long since been sold together with the house to the descendants of Zhu Wensheng, a person named Zhu Wensheng, who was the posthumous title of Zhu Shi, a famous scholar. The old house in Shaoxing was sold to a man surnamed Zhu in 1919, hence the playful reference to it being sold to Zhu Wensheng's descendants. Now even the last time I saw it was over 7 or 8 years ago. In that garden, there seemed to be only wild grass, yet it was my paradise. There is no need to mention the green vegetable rows, the smooth stone well jian rim, the tall Chinese privet trees, or the purplish, jian red mulberries. Nor need we talk about the cicadas singing in the leaves, the fat yellow bees resting on the flower beds, or the swift skylarks suddenly darting into the sky. Just the short wall around the garden is enough to provide endless delight. The oil beetles sing softly, and the crickets play the lute turning over a broken brick. One might find a centipede. There is also the blister beetle. If one presses its spine with a finger, it will emit a puff of smoke from its rear. The ficus and the Pelargonium vines twist around each other. The Pelargonium bears a fruit resembling a lotus, and the ficus has a swollen root. Some say the ficus root resembles a human shape, and eating it would make one immortal. I often dug it up continuously, and once even damaged the wall, but never saw a root shaped like a person. If one is not afraid of the thorns, one can pick the fupenzi, which look like small coral beads. They are both sour and sweet, and their flavor and color are far better than the mulberries. Long grassy areas were not visited, for it was said there was a big red snake in the garden. A long jian ago tale was once told to me by a woman named Changma. A scholar once lived in an ancient temple, and one evening while cooling off in the courtyard, he heard someone calling him. He answered, but saw only a beautiful face peering over the wall, smiling, and then disappearing. He was delighted, but the old monk who came at night to chat had uncovered the secret. He said the scholar had an eerie look and must have encountered the beautiful woman snake, a monster with a human head, and a serpent's body, which could call out a person's name. If one answered, the creature would come at night to devour them. The scholar was naturally terrified, but the old monk said it was harmless, and gave him a small box to place beside his pillow, so he could sleep soundly. Although the scholar followed the advice, he still could not sleep. Naturally, he couldn't at midnight. The creature came, with a rustling sound like wind and rain. As the scholar trembled in fear, a golden light shot out from the box, and all sounds ceased. The golden light returned to the box. What happened later? The old monk said that it was a flying centipede, which could absorb the snake's brain, and thus the beautiful woman's snake was killed. The moral was, if a strange voice calls your name, you must not answer. This story made me realize how dangerous it is to be a person. On summer nights, I often worried, avoiding the walls, and longed for the flying centipede that the old monk had. When I walked near the 100 Herbs Garden, I often thought of it. But until now, I still haven't found it, nor have I met the red snake or the beautiful woman snake. Strange voices calling my name are common, but none are the beautiful woman snake. The 100 Herbs Garden is less interesting in winter, but when snow falls, it becomes quite different. Making snow people and snow figures is for people to admire. However, this is a desolate garden where few people tread, so it is not suitable. Thus, I can only catch birds. A thin layer of snow is not enough. The ground must be covered by snow for a couple of days, when the birds have no place to find food. One can clear a patch of snow, expose the ground, set up a bamboo sieve, scatter some goo, tie a long rope to the stick, and then pull it when the birds come to peck, thereby trapping them. However, the birds caught are mostly sparrows, and there is also a jiangfei bird, a kind of finch. It is very restless and cannot be kept for long. This was the method taught by Runtu's father, but I couldn't use it well. I could clearly see them entering, pull the rope, and go to check, but there was nothing. I spent a lot of effort to catch only a few. Rantu's father could catch dozens in half an hour, and put them in a basket, making them collide with each other. I once asked him why, and he simply smiled and said, "You are too impatient. You didn't wait long enough for them to reach the middle." I didn't know why my family sent me to the book studio, especially the most strict one in the entire city. Perhaps it was because I destroyed the wall by pulling the ficus roots, or because I threw bricks at the neighbor's house, or because I jumped down from the stone well. I don't know. In short, I will no longer be able to visit the 100 Herbs Garden. Ade, my crickets. Adi my Fupenzi and Mulian. To the east, not half a mile away, is my teacher's house. Across a stone bridge, churning through a dark oil bamboo gate, the third room is the study. A plaque hangs in the middle saying, "Three Tastes Study," and beneath it is a painting of a fat deer resting beneath an ancient tree. There is no Confucian tablet, so we worship the plaque and the deer. The first time was to worship Confucius, the second time to worship the teacher. Three Tastes Study. At the second ceremony, the teacher greeted us with a friendly demeanor. He was a tall, thin old man with white hair and wore big glasses. I respected him, for I had heard that he was a very upright, simple, and learned man in the whole city. I heard somewhere that Eastern Shou was also very knowledgeable, and he knew of a strange insect called guaizai, said to be formed from resentment, which could be dispelled by pouring wine. I wanted to learn more about this story, but Cheng didn't know, for she was not knowledgeable. Now was my chance to ask the teacher. "Teacher, what is the story about guaizai?" I asked as I recited the book and was about to leave. "Unknown." He seemed very unhappy, with an angry expression. I realized that students should not ask such questions, but only read, because he was a learned scholar, and he would not know, or rather, he didn't want to say. People older than me often behave like that, and I had met several times. I only practiced calligraphy in the afternoon and recited couplets in the evening. At first, the teacher was strict with me, but later he became more lenient. However, the number of books I read increased gradually, and the couplets I practiced became longer, from 3 jian character to 5 jian character, and finally to 7 jian character couplets. Behind Three Tastes Study there was also a garden, though small, where I could climb the flower bed to pick forsythia flowers, and search for cicada sheds on the ground, or the ginkgo tree. The best task was to feed ants with houseflies in a quiet manner. However, too many classmates remained in the garden for too long, and the teacher would shout from the study, "Where have all the people gone?" One by one they returned, but they could not go together. He had a ruler, but rarely used it. There was also a rule for kneeling punishment, but it was rarely applied. Usually, he would only glare and shout, "Read." Then, all of us read aloud, and the room was filled with voices. Some read, "Is it far away? I desire virtue, and virtue comes to me." Others read, "Laugh at a person missing a tooth by saying dog's gate is big." Others read, "The dragon in the upper heavens does not use it." Others read, "The soil is below and above, but the contribution is the lotus and orange." The teacher also read. Later, our voices dropped and grew quiet, while he continued to read aloud. An iron ruyi, commanding with a confident style, all surprised and amazed. A golden goblet, overturned with full expression. 1,000 cups not drunk. I suspected it was an excellent article, as he would always smile when reading here, and tilt his head back, shaking it, and turning it back. When the teacher was deeply absorbed in reading, it was very suitable for us. A few of us would put paper masks on their fingers and play with them. I painted pictures using a paper called Jingchuan paper, covering the illustrations of novels, and copying them one by one like shadow writing when practicing calligraphy. As I read more, I painted more, although I didn't finish reading. My paintings were numerous, and the most complete were the illustrations from the record of the destruction of the Daokang army and journey to the west. They were all in a big book. Later, I sold them to a wealthy classmate for money. His father ran a tin-foil store. I heard he had become a store owner, and was soon to be a gentleman. These things are no longer here. September 18